Your lead magnet and free training are so good, it should be legal. And now no one's buying your program. Coincidence? Probably not.
In today's episode, we're talking about the fine line between delivering massive value and straight up giving away the whole enchilada. You'll learn how to teach the what and the why without handing over the how on a silver platter.
Being an online business owner is full of ups and downs. Some days you can't imagine going back to your 9 to 5, and other days you want to burn your whole business to the ground. We get it.
Welcome to Chaos to Conversions, a podcast of practical, no BS strategies to grow your online business. Each week, we're chatting about launching, copywriting, mindset, and more, so you can make sense of the chaos and do more of what works.
Join the conversation and let's grow together.
Hi, and welcome back to Chaos to Conversions. So today we are going to talk all about signs that you might be over delivering with your freebies. And when we say freebies, I do want to put an important note right at the beginning. We mean not only your free downloads, your free opt-ins, and that could be anything. It could be a blog post or a PDF or I guess even a podcast episode or, anything like that, a template. And we're also talking about launch events like webinars or challenges, anything that's free like that. So when we think about freebies, we want to make sure that you are doing a couple things. So first, we want to make sure that we are connecting whatever topic your freebie is all about to something that later your paid offer will actually solve. And I'm using very vague terms because a paid offer, it could be anything. It could be like a one-to-one service. It could be a membership. It could be a course. No matter what it is, we just want to make sure, or another paid product, but no matter what it is, we just want to make sure that whatever you're giving away for free actually connects and is in alignment with what you want them to buy later on or to join later on, depending on what your depending on what your paid offer is. In general, also, we want to make sure that the freebie is focusing on more so the why and the what rather than the how. So let me explain a little bit more. For example, I'm just going to use my own business and my own paid offer because that's the easiest example that I can come up with. So let's say that I am trying to attract people who want to improve their launch results and they launched before and they felt like, meh, it didn't go very well. So whatever my freebie topic is, it should be having two kind of components. So one should be an explanation of sorts. Now that could be in a, private podcast. It could be in a PDF. It could be in a podcast episode, like a private podcast. We want to make sure that we're explaining potentially the why. So maybe some mistakes that they're making, some challenges that they've had, beliefs that might be keeping them stuck. That would be like the why. And then we also want to make sure in our free content, our free event, our freebie, that we are talking a little bit about the what they can do to fix it. So why it's happening, what they can do to fix it, a couple quick steps that they can take to give them a quick win, build trust in you. But what we want to hold back more than anything, and what a lot of people have trouble holding back, and I get it, we're all helpy helpers, right, is the how. So I myself would not want to include, for example, an audit checklist or an audit template or something like that, where I'm giving everybody full reign to self-audit their entire webinar, step by step, for example. That might be too much of the how. And we really want to keep it as much as we can on the why this is happening and quick steps, quick wins as to what they can do about it. And the how we're going to keep inside your paid product, your one-to-one service, whatever it is that you're selling.
Yeah, I think that's such a hard balance to find. I know I struggle with that as well.
Yeah, same.
And it's really easy to ask yourself, am I over delivering? It's hard to know sometimes if you are, because we're all just so in our own businesses.
Mm-hmm.
So some kind of signs that you might be over delivering if you're questioning, I don't know if I am keeping the how to myself. One thing might be that your audience just like loves your content. Like they love your free stuff. They're just like eating it up all the time, but they're not ever buying from you. So that is definitely one big sign. Or you're getting feedback like, this was so amazing. I literally don't need anything else. Like I just need to work on this now. That was definitely a big moment for me recently with kind of a free event that I did. People were like, this is so amazing. I need time to do this now. And I'm like, well, actually, I kind of want you to move forward doing things with me, right? Like, let's
Yeah.
do things together. Um, so I was obviously very happy that they got a lot from it, but I felt like it was over delivering a bit too much. It was like a bit too overwhelming, a bit too much at one time. Another thing is if your conversions from like your webinar or your freebie are just super low, again, people are still happy with it, but you're just not seeing the conversions. And I will say that like at the time that we're recording this, it's like, what are we in May
Mm-hmm.
of 2025? Like in general, conversions are a bit lower on certain offers right now. Just people are more like tentative and like cautious about spending. So if you're comparing what it was like for you in like 2020 or 2021 compared to right now, and you're like, I'm over delivering, that might not be the like whole story. But if you're not seeing really like any conversions, if you're just like really struggling to get people to move, it could be an over delivering problem. So I do want to preface by saying it's not obviously over delivering isn't the only issue, but it could be one. Yeah, it's just some kind of mindset pieces too as to like why you might be feeling like you need to over deliver. Is it some sort of like fear that if you don't give everything away that they are not going to trust you, some sort of overcompensating? That's definitely not true. I want you to think about times when you have felt really good walking away from some piece of, free material you've gotten from someone. I did a free like event with someone recently and I felt that like overwhelm where I would have rather them giving me something really small I could walk away with today than the amount of things they did give me, because by day two I was like tuning it out. I'm like, that is like so much. I literally don't have time to do all that. So we actually are sometimes doing a disservice to people by overcompensating. Sometimes you're also thinking like, in our minds, like I have to make this worth their time, or I need to get them ready for the next step. So then we give them a lot, and again we just give them a lot of overwhelm. And especially if it's a free event, right? We're talking about freebies and we're like, I have to make this worth their time. Okay, I get that, but like these people also aren't like paying for
Mm-hmm.
something. So they can do as much as they want with that time, right? They've chosen to participate if they want or not. It's not like they've paid $500 to be here. And now you're like, okay, I really have to step up my game. Obviously, you want to deliver your best self and your best version of your content. But let's also remember at the end of the day, this is a piece of free content you're giving away. So yeah, just a reminder that you're not responsible for like giving everything away in this piece of free content. That's what your paid services are for. You are, of course, responsible for showing up and putting your best foot forward and giving them some little quick little thing they can walk away with, something that does help them and makes them feel successful. That's what's going to build the trust. That's going to position you as kind of the go-to person for whatever thing you are helping them with.
Okay, so let's just backtrack for a hot second because I feel like speaking of overwhelm, I might have just fire hosed you all by being like, okay, you have to teach the what and the why, but not the how, and like moving on. So let's slow down for just 1 second and talk about exactly, what you mean, or what I mean, I should say, talk about exactly what I mean. And if you want to DM me any of this on Instagram after, when you apply it to your own business, I am more than happy to take a peek at it because, like Branda mentioned, it is so much easier to see these things in other people's businesses than in your own, and like myself included. Okay, so when we're talking about the why, couple examples here. So the why that you want to, and when I say like freebies, you also can be talking about this in your content everywhere, like wherever you show up on social media, if you show up on social media and your emails, podcast, wherever. So the why is explaining why whatever problem that they're having matters and what's at stake, what could happen if they don't solve it. You don't need to be all like doom and gloom, but like in a nutshell, what they're missing out on if they don't solve this problem. So, for example, my why, and I gave a different example, I think, just a couple minutes ago, but another way to look at it would be I could explain in some of my free content why not launching in a style that aligns with your energy, your offer, and your business is actually sabotaging your launch success. And hopefully, whatever I would say there would get people to go, huh, I never thought of it that way. That actually makes a lot of sense. Then we would move on to the what. So that is where you would go ahead and clarify like what the actual problem is and what needs to happen. What are some steps they could take? What are some quick fixes that they could do? To give another example, my what, going along with the sort of example of the launch reno, might be what an aligned launch blueprint could look like for your business. And they might be able to look at a couple different launch plans. Maybe I have some calendars prepared, but they're like PDF. They can't edit them. You know what I mean? They can just check them out and look at them. Maybe I have a webinar calendar laid out, a challenge webinar laid out, and they can see like, oh, aha, this is what this could look like for my business. And based on some of the, questions, maybe I'm getting ideas now. Maybe I also have like a little flow chart, like, are you this? Then follow this. Or if you're answered this way, then follow this way. I mean, that could also be a quiz, for example, and showing them examples of what an aligned launch blueprint might be. And then my free content, my freebie would like stop, because what I would be inviting them to then would be the paid offer, which in my case, going along with still this example, would be the launch reno, which is where all the systems, steps, content templates, launch templates, project management, like the deep dive, the one-on-one, all that is. So that would be the actual like how. So how you're going to actually choose a launch strategy, customize it to your business, and then full on like execute it. That would also be kind of impossible to do in a freebie in general, like for that particular example. But even something along the lines, if we're going back to content and you're actually in a free training or in a free private podcast or something like that, for example, even something like creating 30 full days of content could be too much of the how. I mean, I would have to see like, exactly what's going on and what you're doing. You want to keep your framework, your method inside of your course or your membership or your program or your one-on-one service, and not give that all away.
Yeah, that definitely makes sense. I'm just thinking about, I liked actually a lot of those examples. Like my brain was like, I need to redo some of my freebies. I really actually do need to update some of them. Create probably some new ones that I've been using since started my business 3 years ago. But anywho, so kind of piggybacking off of that, some things, like some ideas, like if you're also Melanie's inspiring ideas in you, you're like, okay, well, how can I turn this into a freebie? And again, I'm kind of thinking more like lead magnets for this one, but it also could be like a free training, right? A webinar or something like that. You could do a quiz. Melanie kind of mentioned that with like, she had that flow chart idea. That could easily be a quiz. I think it really depends on the kind of business that you have, whether quizzes work really well, but I've seen quizzes, like a lot of service providers use them. I've seen people who have a lot of different types of courses. And so the quiz can funnel them into like the right place for them to go, kind of depending on their experience level or exactly what kind of support that they're looking for. That can be a really great place to like segment people. Roadmaps could be another good one. So this is kind of a bit of like methodology, but again, I'm not giving away everything. I'm not teaching it all, but kind of giving them a bit of the strategy, a bit of the like, here's what comes next that people might be looking for. But again, they're not, without your support, a lot of times people can only get so far into a roadmap, right? But it's kind of nice for them to sometimes see what your expertise is, or what your kind of thought process is, or your philosophy is behind your course or your service. Another one can be like before and after. So maybe you are showing like awesome case studies of people. I saw one recently. I cannot remember who put it out, but I did put in my email list for it. My email address for it, because I was like, I'm curious. They had asked like random people in their audience to submit their Instagram profiles, and then they did audits on all of them and like change them and had them adjust them. And so they did like a before and after. And so they're not really teaching me anything in this, right? Like they're kind of just showing maybe different things that they did, but I'm getting to see their expertise there. I'm getting to kind of learn a little bit just for seeing like a before and after. So that was kind of a fun one that I was like interested into kind of digging through. And then, of course, you can always do some sort of mini training. And I think mini trainings can come in a lot of different formats. I have like a private podcast that is like a little series that is like a mini training on how to build a welcome sequence. You could have a literal like training, like a pre-recorded webinar or something like that that people download. It could be an email training, like I have a couple clients who do like the kind of email series where it's like
Mm-hmm.
5 emails that go out over the course of a couple days. So there's a lot of different ways you can do it and definitely get creative there. And I think one fun thing about trainings like that too is you can use them in multiple different formats and kind of use some of the same content in different ways because one person may love private podcasts, the next person may love an email series. And so kind of giving them the option too of how they can get it is great for you because can attract some different people to your list. So, like Melanie said, we really want to emphasize the transformation. We really want to emphasize the why and the what, not necessarily give all the instruction. That is what the paid offer is for.
All right. So if you don't already have a pen and paper, now might be the time, or come back and listen to this bit later because we're going to run you through a couple of questions that will allow you to kind of self-audit your free content that you are putting out there into the world. So a couple questions to ask yourself. Number one, is this freebie solving a problem completely? Or is it setting them up for the next step or success with the next step? And if it is solving the problem completely, as we mentioned before, probably you're in fact over delivering because then they might not need you or anything else for the next step. So if the big problem that they're having, not like a surface level problem, but like an actual, like big issue that they're having in their business or their life, if that's totally solved, probably too much. Another question to think of, number two, would someone be able to replicate my paid process, my one-on-one service, my course content using this free content? If you are giving so much detail and how to step by step that they can basically do it all themselves, again, very fine line to walk, but take a hard look at your freebie. And if they can replicate everything, probably also over delivering too much. The other thing to think of, and this is a problem I feel like I see a lot too, will this overwhelm my audience? Branda was just saying the other day that she got overwhelmed. And I mean, we are inundated with like free content, free trainings, free webinars, free challenges, like in the online business space. It's true. And it is getting trickier and harder to make yours stand out, which is why you want to also focus on providing something actionable that they can walk away with and a quick win that they can implement. If they feel like they need to do 86 more things before they're even ready to take the next step, they're not going to want to add one more thing to their plate. So what I want you to do is take a look at whatever freebie that it is you're auditing, whether it's like a PDF or even your webinar slides, and actually take a look and see if you are hitting all three sort of spots. Are you talking about the why? Talking about awareness content, making sure that they understand like why the problem exists in general. Then are you incorporating a little bit of the what, the belief shifting content where they can start to see what to do next, that another way is possible for them. And also, very importantly, I don't know if importantly is a word, but also very important, make it feel like they can actually do it. Because I think at one point or another, we've probably also all been there on a, free training, free listening to free something. And this person's talking about like all these amazing results that they got, for themselves or other clients. But you're sitting there feeling like, okay, well, like, I don't think like I could actually do that. So we need to also make sure that in the what and in the belief shifting content, we're not only changing their perspective on themselves, but also like just making it feel like it's possible and letting them know what's next. And then finally, the last part to label is your actual instruction or how to content where you're actually teaching them what to do. Now, if you feel like that how to content is more than about 25% of what you're giving away, you want to rethink the instructional piece and see if you can pare it back a little bit. And there's a couple of quick fixes that I think that we can talk about, like removing any super detailed tutorials, like any super detailed templates that actually like give them the step by step, and maybe replacing them with like checklist or general like frameworks more so, and keeping things focused away from actual like execution and how to, and again sticking with more of the awareness, belief shifting, and fostering capability in themselves.
Okay, so a quick recap of what we've talked about this episode because we've covered a lot of good stuff. So we were talking about, am I giving too much away? So first, we talked about how we don't want to give away the whole enchilada. We want to focus on the what and the why and not so much of the how. And we talked about some signs that you might be over delivering. Then we dove a little bit more into that what, why, and how, and Melanie gave us some examples of how it would like apply to the launch reno. So definitely some things to think about there. We also talked about some different freebie ideas and how to actually audit your own freebies or webinars to make sure that, again, you're not over delivering and that you're making it really actionable. You're making people feel really good when they walk away instead of that overwhelm that could actually be preventing the conversion that you're looking for. Thanks so much for joining our conversation today. If you enjoyed this episode, please head to your listening app and leave a quick rating and review.
If you're on Instagram, share this episode and tag us at Duxbury Digital and at The Relevant Collective. We'd love to hear from you. We'll meet you back here next Tuesday for more practical strategies to take your business from chaos to conversions.